welcome everybody. It's another episode of the Bank Marketing Show, right into your podcast app or wherever you're seeing us, YouTube.
Yeah.
It's good to see you again. Hi, hello, Chris.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm Chris Bates. This is I'm here with my co-host Dan Novalis, and we're glad to be with everyone today.
He sounds like a good guy. I like to hang out with him.
Like talk about each other in the third person or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've been on the phone too long, Chris. I think we're just starting to make a little less sense. But let's get into our topic here and
there you go. Yeah.
Hopefully provide some good stuff today. So today we wanted to talk about go a little different. You know, we've our last few episodes have focused on more tactical stuff. We did that cadence webinar earlier in the year and have gotten a lot of questions around AI and is my bank visible? How do I compete? How do I understand what my competitors are doing? So we've had a series here of real tactical kind of AI-driven stuff. And, I want to just kind of lead off here with the work I've been doing lately is focused more on helping commercial lending teams bring new prospects into the bank. So a little more go-to-market, a little more sales than just marketing.
Yep.
And, what's been really interesting is to watch how different banks structure their teams, right? And just, at some banks, there's really strong connections between marketing and the lending teams or the business banking teams. And at other banks, there's just not. They're just fully separate departments. Even at small banks that might have a total staff of like 40 people, the two teams don't tend to talk a lot. Yeah. And go ahead.
Dan, I'll tell you what this reminds me of is past episodes that we've had either with you and I, and we've had guests on that are experts in compliance. And so marketing needs to dance well with compliance. And we've had episodes about that and had, compliance expert guests on and attorney and legal compliance issue. Anyway, and this is the same thing is that part of the job of marketing is to do what you started to mention a minute ago, which is to connect well with lenders. It's very significant, as we know, to the revenue and bottom line of banks. And if they're operating as two totally unconnected entities, I don't know that marketers are accomplishing the full scope of what marketing should accomplish. And then on the other side of the hallway too is that lenders are having to they don't have marketing support, so they're having to push harder, work harder, do all of those things, as opposed to those two, not being islands or silos, but working together better.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of banks treat marketing as, like what you might hear the term like inbound marketing, right? So this is all the stuff of like branding, digital ads,
get more website, checking accounts. Right.
Yeah. Like social media, sponsorships in the community, flyers, drive up posters, those types of things.
Yep.
Billboard, you put your billboards out and hope people see them and come on in. And whereas then the lending teams, even the branch managers are more outbound. So they're at chamber meetings. They might be making cold calls. They might be like pushing referrals. They might come to marketing and ask for, hey, we need a leave behind brochure or a door hang tag or something because we're canvassing somewhere.
Yeah.
But other than those types of requests, there's a lot of banks that it's a cultural thing. We talked about culture recently too. Like it's a cultural thing of those teams are just not coordinating. And it's not usually intentional. It's just kind of more traditional, more the ways these things have operated.
Yeah.
And as digital has become more popular, more of a marketing channel over the past couple decades, like banks have said, hey, we need a marketing person. So coming in, but that coordination hasn't happened. So, we just want to share today. The point here is like talk about these patterns that we see and encourage you to sit down more with your lenders, because there's a lot of stuff that that can be shared back and forth.
Yeah. Well, Dan, as we like to do here on the show, what we're going to do for you here as we discuss this today is make it quantifiable, didactic, give you some specific takeaways from this. And we're going to kind of encapsulate it into three different ideas, three areas of idea that, or processes, if you will, that we know will be of consequence.
Yep.
And help you in this relationship in this area. So, and then you can share this episode with your lenders and go, hey, listen to this, and let's work together better. And everybody, the tide rises from that. Yeah,
yeah. And the goal of both teams is to bring more business into the bank.
Exactly.
And I think marketing, marketing's job of the job of branding and digital ads and all that stuff, like so many banks treat it as, well, we're not getting new commercial loans from a digital ad, right? Mm-hmm. It's all through handshakes.
Yep.
And that might be true, but like the commercial borrowers are still just people.
Yeah.
And B2B interactions are still with people, and they will see your logos in the sponsorships. They'll see the digital ads, even if they're not the ones clicking and filling out forms and stuff like a retail account would.
Yep.
So, the more that the marketing teams understand who the lending teams are trying to reach, the better, because stuff can be kind of directed to it.
Mm-hmm.
I run digital ads, commercial and ag-focused digital ads for some of my clients, and sometimes they're way better performing than the retail ones. They drive fewer form fills, but they get more clicks.
Yeah,
and that's a leading indicator. But it's like they're doing something out there. So the first point here is share, share stuff, break down those silos. And that can look as simple as like a quick monthly meeting.
Yep.
Right. Or start with a quick monthly meeting just to share, hey, who are you trying to reach? Who have you had success with? What would be big wins for the bank? Both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Dan, as humans, we all like to be listened to. And so what I like in this is sit down with lending and ask them questions about what they're seeing, hearing, touching, feeling out in the field. Ask them. We don't need to sit in the marketing booth, so to speak, and go, oh, we think this is what they're. No, I mean, ask the lenders, have those conversations. What are the objections they're hearing? Who are the competitors that you're really having to run up against out there? What is it that in this particular time or this particular season that your prospects, your customers really need?
Yeah.
Those are so informative for how marketing can speak into those.
Well, and you're probably like, competitors means something different to marketing than to lending.
Mm-hmm.
On the marketing side, it's digital competitors. Who are people what other bank websites are people looking at when they come to look at yours?
Yep.
On the lending side, it's more of, well, we put out a bid for this loan, and then that customer took it to this other bank. And, sharing that stuff across the table will help both of you learn a ton.
Yep. I like your suggestion there. Set a 30-minute meeting monthly at a bare minimum and just sit down and have a cup of coffee. Hey, give me the pulse of what's going on. What are you hearing? How are things going? And ask all those questions. And man, it can be so cross-informative.
Yeah.
Really, really helpful. Yeah. And lenders might be able to suggest for you also, hey man, if marketing could just kind of, however you do your marketing thing, just get the scoop out about this, man, it would really help our lending team. It's going to open up a world of possibilities there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So great first point. Yeah.
Well, and the second point's the corollary from that, which is like, I mentioned at the start, lenders will often come to the marketing team and say, we need a brochure. We need a commercial accounts brochure, or we need a folder, a leave behind, something like that. And that's just the standard, like banks default to that because it's one of those, like, this is always what's been done, the one page of the brochure. But like, those don't build trust. That's just what every bank does. So yeah, like the lender needs something tangible as a leave behind when they go stop by a local business or they have a first meeting. But if marketing is listening to the problems, if you're in that 30-minute monthly meeting, we're talking about marketing's listening to the problems that the businesses that want to work with the bank face. Lenders can tell you, well, we do really well with these mid-sized manufacturers that have cash flow issues, or
Yep.
I don't know,
There you go.
that's
Yeah.
made up, but like get to the specific issue, and marketing can write content around that specific issue.
Yep.
And then the lender can reference that content when they talk. So instead of just leaving a brochure with features, leave a printed article, white paper about that the bank has written about a problem that customer has faced.
Yeah. Or Dan, in recent episodes, we've talked about, for example, adding FAQs to service and loan and product pages, those types of things. So if you're adding an FAQ to an ag loans page on your website, if that's your thing, or whatever your specifics are, and it's really outlining key things that the bank can do for this audience. And so if a lender is calling on a member of that audience, a small business owner, a farmer, a landowner, whoever that may be, they can have an initial conversation. And you know what, I'm going to send you this and kind of show you a little bit of the mindset of what we're doing, and send them a follow-up email with a link to that page, so that
Exactly.
the prospect can actually see, that the lender wasn't just making that up. The bank really focuses on this.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
what they're doing
Or
in this category.
If it's a case study or a customer,
a case study. There you go.
A similar customer, then that's going to build a lot of trust, and that's going to great. Leave a brochure. Don't stop doing that. But like your brochure looks just like every other bank's brochure.
Mm-hmm.
No one really that doesn't make somebody choose you.
Mm-hmm.
It just the table stakes. It lets them know that you have the solution, but it doesn't make them choose you.
Yeah.
That article or that testimonial from a very similar customer, very similar type of business with a similar problem, does build trust and does help them choose you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just hiring a video agency to shoot a bunch of testimonials. It's like you got to target it around the problems that you're trying to address, and that your lenders are out talking about all day.
Yeah.
So the second point, right? To sum up, give them, don't just make the brochures, give them some content they'll actually be able to use and reference.
Yeah, and today's tools.
Yeah.
A QR code that takes someone to this, that goes on the back of the lender's business card, that goes directly to, a forum or a free ebook, or again, be imaginative here, but you're providing tools, resources, content as marketing for lenders that's again going to be invaluable to them, like you said, rather than just dropping off a brochure. And that's kind of the extent of it. It gives a prospect process. Yeah. And marketing can do so much around that. Great point.
Yep. All right. Well, point 3.
Yeah. So I think we've touched on it here, Dan. And we keep just using the word prospect. But I think the key thing here is, are marketing and lending looking at and targeting the same audiences? It may not be the fault of marketing that maybe they don't really understand, the conversations out in the community that lenders are having.
Right.
Like who with? What is that cross section of people? Again,
right. And this gets to the typical community bank. Maybe you have the lender conversation, but it ends at we're just trying to reach more small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Great, but what types?
Yeah.
What types of small businesses? So what I do most of my time with these days is talk to banks about this, right? Because we're trying to help them find more prospects, and we have a data analysis tool that looks through data and helps them find new good prospects. But it's not just small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's what industries, what size of business, what locations, how long have they been in business, where are they owned, what do they do, what do they do? Do they already work with a community bank? And so if you're understanding that at that level, a marketing team can add that kind of targeting to their plan.
Absolutely.
If your marketing team is the inbound and your loan officers are the outbound stuff, most marketing teams will run digital ads of we're just putting our brand out there. We're just putting a nice tagline and trying to reach the general kind of retail consumer. Not talking, maybe even business owners, but not talking to those specific, the specific problems.
Yeah.
Try to understand at that level, and you'll think of campaign extensions that'll
There
help.
you go. Yeah. Yeah. The whole next level of understanding. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good practice that I've seen done too is look at your last, 10, 15, 20 loans and who were those to? I mean, specifically, like you said, what, not just small business owners. Well, no. I mean, are they coffee shops? Are they, what are they?
Yeah.
And what are the ones that you want more of? And so then what is that market? And then the conversation between lending and marketing as to, okay, here's how we go get more of those, because you're doing them and doing them well. Dan, as a case study model, one of our great bank clients we had a conversation with them not long ago, and it came up in the conversation about what a significant percentage of revenue they were doing around recreational property loans, in their area. So, now what we're doing with them is working on peeling that apart. Okay, who are they? Where are they? They're out of state, they're this, they're that, okay, well, can we do digital campaigns to go and get them? And then your lenders are making contacts, or, what can we do to position you well? And obviously for all of our listeners today, it's really applicable to where are your superpowers? Right, Dan, how many times have you and I had the conversation about, community banks need to be focusing on their superpowers, their true differentiators. So yeah. I think this is a good example as we're talking about targeting lending and marketing, targeting the same audiences. In this last point is specifically who are they, where do they live, where do they work, those types of things. And then marketing working to figure out, okay, here's a way we can communicate with them. And open the, and to our prior point, reinforce what lenders are doing and having out there in those conversations.
Yeah, and it requires just a different approach to the ads. Like, so I mentioned earlier, like the commercial prospects are not typically the ones that will click and fill out a form and all that stuff.
Right.
But those banner ads and the Google search results, like they might be searching.
Mm-hmm.
They might be searching on Google for banks, and they might be searching for stuff. So like having the content out there that AI engines pick up on,
mm-hmm.
having ads out there targeting them specifically will make a difference. And your lending, they're not going to come rushing through the door like a retail customer might, but like it'll make your lender's job easier. That there'll be some knowledge of your bank out there when they do call, and they do meet them at a Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sort of shorten some of that sales cycle. You pre-built some trust before the lenders start engaging. It's another touch point, and really unifies the message.
Yep. Yeah. Well, great. Dan, here again, as has been the case with some of our prior episodes, none of these 3 points that we've talked about have to be major budget investment. These are require significant new technologies or whatever. This isn't huge lift stuff. I said this before we started the episode today, Dan, when we were talking about this. Relationship is the big R in community banking. Yeah, it's the thing. It's not a thing. It's the thing in community banking, right? Is relationship. Well, this is just an internal one that's crucial. Community bankers and lenders are really great at doing relationships. And when we say that, it's the mindset of doing that with customers. Well, of course you are, but this is a crucial internal one that is significant ROI for the bank, as you said earlier. I mean, this is no kidding. So what we've talked about today, these are all very doable things. Some of them are walk down the hallway and do that, or like we said, share this episode. And I kind of said it tongue in cheek at the beginning of this episode, but share it and go, hey, this really made me think about, as a marketer or as a bank leader or as a C-suite person, how we need to be communicating better between marketing and lending. And what we talked about, the 3 things: sharing that information, the intel, and Dan, I'm going to outright make a suggestion to our listeners to reach out to you and have a further discussion about, because what you and your agency are doing so much around is the utilization of intel and how to get lenders better connected with, with opportunities there. And then the second point was about marketing, creating tools, content, all of that for lenders. And not just reinforcing, but pouring fertilizer on, right, on what it is that they're doing. And then lastly is coordinating, again, through communication. What are those key audiences? Who are they specifically? And then marketing can help with, here's how we're going to go get them.
Yep.
I think this is great, useful stuff.
Yeah. Hopefully just made you think a little differently.
That's right.
About how I know, in a lot of episodes we talk to your frontline staff, find out the customer problems, and we haven't talked a lot about how to structure that and really what to talk about and how to actually do it. So, although it's a pretty simple idea, hoping we're kind of pattern interrupt a few of you and get you thinking about it, because it really does help.
There you go.
Help both teams.
Yeah. Well, folks, reach out to us through bankmarketingshow.com. There will be more information and show notes from this episode on there as well. You can reach out to us through contact@bankmarketingshow.com. That reaches out to Dan and I. If you want to have a brainstorming or question session with Dan specifically around this, because this is some key focus area, great time to do it. We love having those conversations.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. To go deeper or get access to some of the valuable nuggets from today's show, go to bankmarketingshow.com. There you'll find episodes, links to resources, and much more. Be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And join us next time.